guys, it's Cheeky Cherry again, and today we're going to be doing a very interesting topic about teeth called tooth anatomy. And first we're going to start by looking at today's agenda. First, we're going to be learning about the parts of a teeth, then the types of teeth, then the functions of teeth, why do we need to brush teeth, then we'll learn a bit about tooth bacteria, and what to do when handling a tooth cavity. So let's start with the parts of a tooth. So the tooth has three main parts. The first part is the root, which covers most of the tooth, as you can see here. Until the gum starting, that much is the root. Then there's a pit portion, which is the neck of a tooth. And then finally, about the same size as the root, the crown of a tooth. Now let's see about the different parts of the tooth, like the enamel, the dentine, and the pulp. First is the pure white part, which is called the enamel, as you can see here. Then there's a little yellowish part, which is the dentine. And finally, after the dentine, there's the soft as a tissue part of the tooth, which is the pulp. Now, both the enamel and the dentine are very strong. So strong that the enamel is known as the strongest part of our body. And the dentine is the second strongest. But the pulp is so soft as a tissue. It's made up with thin tissues. So it's the enamel's and dentine's job to protect the pulp. Now, as you can see, the pulp has blood vessels, such as arteries, the veins, and even nerves. Now, these blood vessels start from here. Have you ever noticed when your tooth came out, there's small holes in your mouth? Now, that's where the blood vessels were. The blood vessels reach to the heart to give the pulp enough blood to keep it alive, and the nerves are from the brain, so that when you get a tooth out, it starts to pain because the pulp is connected to the blood vessels, and of course it bleeds. That's that. And it's the enamel and dentine's job to protect the pulp because it's soft as a tissue, and the pulp is known as the living part of a tooth. Did you know that? And yes, it's because of the blood vessels. The enamel and the dentine protect the pulp, so that's why the enamel and the dentine are non-living. So when the bacteria get to it, it won't hurt us, and we'll get to that part later. The different types of teeth. The first type of teeth are the incisors. Now there are the first four. We're going to see them in a picture. And those are live incisors. My one incisor is missing. But there are actually 4 incisors in an adult and a little kid's. There are 8 incisors, it shows here, because 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom. Now then we have the canines. Now the canines are directly after the incisors. They're slightly pointed. And that helps you tear the food. And the incisors are for cutting food. Then we'll move on to the premolars. These teeth have 2 pointed cusps for crushing food. Now the premolars are 2, which means 2 on each side, which means 8 premolars. The canines are 4 in the total mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the premolars are used for crushing or cracking food, such as hard foods like nuts, cashews, pistachios, things like that. And then there's the molars. These teeth have several cusps on a biting surface. Now the molars are the last and the biggest type of teeth. They're on the last and they have 3, which means total 3 on each side, which means 12 in our total mouth. That's a lot of molars. And they are the grinding food. Alright, so let's see here. Now as we can see, these are the incisors. The first 4 teeth like I showed. These are the incisors. Then we'll go to the canines. These are the canines. then we have the two premolars just on the side of the canines. And then the biggest molars. Can you see how big it is compared to the incisors, the canines, the premolars, and the molars? Can you see how big it is? So those are the 4 different types of teeth, and let's move on. Now let's take a brief look at it. The incisor, it's like kind of a chisel shape. Oh, and in the previous slide, did you notice that the tongue has a kind of smiley face on it? That was fun. So the incisors are kind of chisel shaped. The canines are pointy. Now, did you know that canines are very important for a carnivorous or wild animal's life because they survive on meat and they have to tear the flesh apart. Our canines aren't just sharp as lions or tigers, and that's because we eat cooked meat. We don't eat raw meat like lions and tigers. They have bones, really hard bones and really gross flesh and blood. They eat it directly without cooking or anything. So that's why they have the sharpest canines. But our canines are a little pointy because we still eat meat but cooked meat. And then we move on to the premolar. This is kind of like the incisor but a little curvy, not straight. And the molars, the biggest and much more curvy. Now let's see here in the colors. The molars are the light blue, these two. The premolars are these two oranges over here. The canines are these dark blue. And the incisors are the yellow. So now we're going to learn about the functions of your teeth. Now teeth have various functions. First of all, they're the first step of digesting your food, which means chewing food. Then teeth help you in your pronunciation. Some people have lisp because they say S at the back of their tongue when it's actually supposed to be behind your teeth. And that's how teeth help you in pronunciation. And then appearance. I don't have a very good teeth appearance. Now let's see the functions of the teeth. As we already saw the canines, the molars, the premolars, and the incisors, we saw all these 4 types of teeth. The canines are strong and pointed for tearing food, as we talked. The molars are broad and flat and kind of curvy for crushing and grinding food. The premolars share features of both the canines and molars, a little sharp and a little curvy, which means for example, you might use them for tearing and grinding. And incisors are sharp and blade-like, chisels for cutting food. For example, you might use them to bite in an apple. Now, why is it important to brush our teeth? Now, as you can see the girl in the picture, she is brushing her teeth very nicely. And all of us need to follow that. Now, let's find out why. Alright, the prevention. Brushing our teeth prevents bacteria from going inside. Now, as I said, we'll talk about the previous one later. Now, let's talk about it now. The tiny food particles that you eat, like chocolates or cakes or whatever you eat, especially sugary or starchy like food, the bacteria love to eat that. So they eat that and they work day and night until finally they break into the enamel. Now that is very hard work. And then they come into the dentine. Now the food enters the dentine. But as the dentine and the enamel are non-living substances, they're the non-living parts in the food, so we can't know that the bacteria is breaking in. We don't feel it. So the process continues. The food particles continue going down into our dentine, and the bacteria eat that and work day and night again. And then they finally break the dentine too and reach the pulp. Now the pulp has no defense and it's a really tissue-like substance, so it can't protect itself. And the blood vessels in the pulp also die like that. So then when the blood vessels and the nerves feel it, then we start to feel pain. But it's too late, right? The dentine and the enamel have holes in them, which is called a cavity. Most of you must have had a cavity sometime in life. I've also had one, and I had filling. there. So that filling is used from the dentist to fill up the cavity so that no more bacteria could break into it and hurt our pulp. Now the symptoms of bacteria getting in your tooth are toothache, tooth sensitivity, and sharp pain while eating or drinking something quite hot or cold. Now, which tooth do you want? Beautiful? Kind of bad? A little more bad? Even more bad? Worse? Really worse? Or horrid? If you ask me, I would choose the first one. I wanted my teeth to have a hole in them. Besides, that looks disgusting. But if you can see the layers, the enamel, the dentine, and kind of you can see the pulp. Alright? Now this is what will happen. You'll get a small black or brown hole when the bacteria starts breaking into your enamel and dentine. First your teeth is like this. Then the bacteria starts working and it kind of breaks down the enamel and goes down to the dentine. And after it breaks down the dentine, it goes to the pulp, and that is horrible. And that's it for today. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed today's information and hope you all will brush your teeth properly and say to that bacteria, keep out bacteria, don't you dare eat my teeth. So bye.